Oh, come on now. Thank you so much for joining the Sue Fries Show. And I have to tell you, I'm very excited today. My daughter is past due to deliver our fourth grandbaby. It's going to be a boy, and I'm very excited. Oh, it gets me teary-eyed because I'm so proud of my daughter, number one, and the kids, the little grandkids, just to see life through their eyes, to just see how they are so innocent, and even in their behavior of trying to get away with something and pushing the envelope. It's really interesting to watch and experience. And being a grandparent is different than being a parent. And I always heard people that were grandparents saying, oh my gosh, parenting was wonderful, but grandparenting is the best. And I have to say that it is pretty special. You know, as moms, we're exhausted. We try to be the best we can be every moment of every day, and we put all this pressure on ourselves to be the best we can be as a mom, as a Christian, as a wife, as a sister, and, you know, everything that goes along with it. And all that pressure, we're exhausted. And I just remember how exhausted I was. And I tried to be, you know, the best clean housewife and teaching the kids about responsibility and rules and, you know, yes, mommy, and may I be excused, and please, and thank you, and all of those things. And I see myself now as a coach, as not really a disciplinarian, although Gigi's rules in Gigi's house, they run. And I do have rules. And I learned early on that when I would take my kids to their grandma's house, that I'd get upset when grandma would feed them certain things that I would not want them to eat, or let them do things that I probably wouldn't have let them do. I had to come to grips that, you know, grandma's house, grandma's rules. And so now Gigi has her house and Gigi has her rules. And so it works out pretty well. But I'm understanding that the topic today is about leadership. And no matter who you're involved with, whether it's little children or ministry, or CEO, president of a company, or a basketball team coach, any area in which you are encouraging, inspiring, disciplining other people, and even when you're not directly responsible, but yet people are watching everything you say, watching everything you do, to determine where they are, their belief system, and how they feel about you, and what is coming on and off between the two relationships. And I found that with leadership, that we can take on this role, you know, you and I, we can take on this role of leadership and understand that we are ministry, that we're in ministry and we're there to minister other people. So what is it we're wanting to give off? What is it that we want? You know, it's like, when I walk in a room, I want people to be happy that I walked in the room. When I leave the room, I want them to be sad that I left the room, not happy because I left the room, if you get my drift. And there are people in your life, I'm sure, that you've got a name or a face right now that you'd go, oh man, I'm much happier when they're walking out, not when they're walking in. And we all have a decision to make, don't we, on the impact we have on other people. So leadership. I am a lion. I am a lion. I'm Leo the lion. And people say, yeah, hear me roar. But I'm really not a roar kind of person, although I do set my boundaries. And I've learned that after not having boundaries and learning that I was getting what I was tolerating. Does that hit anybody at home? Does it? Because if you are letting things, if things are happening to you that you don't want to have happen to you, then you need to decide just how much of a fight you want to put on to say, I'm not going to accept that. That's no longer acceptable in my circle. I am not going to accept vulgar language. I'm not going to accept somebody yelling at me. I'm not going to accept having a tangent. I'm not going to accept those things. That's just my rules, my boundaries. What are yours? You have to have them. Because if you don't, then other people can run all over you. You don't want that. So as a leader, there's attributes. There's things that leaders have. They have their actions. Their actions have to match their words. Because no one's going to follow if they can't believe what they're following. If somebody is ebbing and flowing and flippy-flopping and on the fence and can't decide what side of the fence they're on, it's hard to follow somebody like that. Do you know anybody like that, that you're just not sure where they really are? Where's their foundation? What foundation? Is their foundation firm? Or are they flipping back and forth? The wishy-washy stuff doesn't work for me. I want somebody that knows who they are, and I want to be around people that have a significant impact. They want to have a significant impact in other people. That is big for me. Big, big, big for me. So what are the actions and attributes of a leader? What is it that makes them different from others? Like I said, I think everybody has impact, no matter what position you're in, no matter who you're responsible for. But these are things that leaders have, okay? Leaders are always full of praise. Now, I can say for me, I'm just doing a self-analysis here. And for me, being the president, CEO, and wanting systems and operations to run smoothly, I'm always looking, I'm a problem solver, so I'm always looking for how we could do that better, an opportunity for improvement. And what is missed sometimes is acknowledging when somebody does something right. And I'm finding that it's really good, and people want to please. I know I do. When someone acknowledges and appreciates something I do, I want to do more of that. How about you? It's just kind of human nature, isn't it? I want to do more of that because I want that, not so much reward, just acknowledgement or praise. Leaders learn to say thank you and please on the way to the top. Thank you and please. I know with my little grandkids, I'm teaching them, and mommy's teaching them, and daddy's teaching them to say please and thank you. And how many people do you know that are 30, 40, 50 years old that have forgotten to say please and thank you? Hey, get me that. Hey, could you do that? And there's no please, and there's no thank you. And I'm like, please, thank you. I think it's so important. Am I the best at this? I'm sure that I've missed a please and a thank you along the way. I'm sure of it. But I do my best to say please and thank you because I am really thankful and grateful for anybody and everybody that helps in any way, shape, or form. Leaders are always growing. I was just talking to Kim, my bookkeeper, today, and I said, man, we've been doing this a long, long time. And doing this meaning she's the bookkeeper a lot more than just a bookkeeper. She does a lot, accounts payable, payroll, a lot of things. Anyway, and I do a lot of things too. And 43 years in the business for me, and I'm thinking, man, there's days where I feel like, why am I doing this? Why am I even here? And then other times I'm just thinking, wow, that was so good. That person coming, or I see them and they're stepping up to the plate when before they wouldn't step up to the plate, and I see that they're being better stewards or they're being better servants, or they'll say, hey, how are you today, when before they wouldn't talk, or can I get that for you? Can I close the gate for you? Can I open your door? Do you need any help? wow. I mean, that's just growth. It's growth with them, and it's pleasing, and I just love it. And I let them know, wow, thank you so much. I needed that help. And I said to her, I said, you know what? We're challenged every day. And we are. And if I was not challenged every day, I would be really, really, really bored, even though sometimes being bored might be all right. Just saying. But I'm challenged and I'm learning every single day. Are you? Are you being challenged? Are you growing every day? Leaders are possessed with dreams. I know a lot of people that they just don't even know they have a dream anymore. They've let it get snuffed out. And I'm going to say waking that up. Waking up that dream. And don't let someone tell you you can't or you won't and there's no way. Sure, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Figure it out. Leaders launch forth before success is certain. That's called leap of faith, isn't it? They launch forth. That means they take action. They take that step. They don't know the outcome. I didn't know the outcome. I didn't know I was going to be on the radio. I didn't know I was going to write a book. I didn't know I was going to be president of a company. I didn't know we were going to top 100. But we are. And if I wouldn't have taken the step or gotten up in the morning and got to work and done what I needed to do and hired the right people to do the right things and train and just have this desire to have significant impact and the passion that is required and encouraged, I don't know. Have I arrived? No. Have I accomplished some things? Yes. Have you? I would bet yes. Leaders are unafraid of confrontation. I have a whole nother paper on confrontation, and if I have time, I'm going to come back to it because it's really good because we do need to have confrontation. We do need to have these tough conversations because without them, you can't grow. Are they easy? No. Does it hurt sometimes? Absolutely. Is it necessary? I would say so. Leaders talk about their own mistakes before they talk about someone else's. Just yesterday, I have somewhat of a new assistant, and I'm talking to her, and I gave her a paper with my handwriting, which is not very good. And I said, here, I need you to add these things to this. And so she says, okay. And she does it, and she didn't do it exactly like I had written it. And I went back to her. Sorry. I went back to her, and I just said, I'm taking this on. And the reason is because I should have taken the time to read this to you so that you would know what it was instead of you trying to figure it out. My writing is atrocious. I know it is. I'm in a hurry. No excuse. From now on, I'm going to take a little more time to read these things to you. So I took responsibility for the mistake. Could she have come to me and said, I'm not sure what this says? Yes, she could. And in the future, I bet she will. But I still took the responsibility because I felt like I want her to succeed, not to fail, and I need to do what I need to do in order to help that happen. And maybe that is a golden nugget for somebody out there is that, you don't want them to sink and you don't want them to fail. You want them to succeed. At least I hope you do. That's the goal. Leaders are people of honesty and integrity. I learned a long time ago that if you don't have trust in any relationship, doesn't remember what relationship, but if you don't have trust, then you cannot really truly have a relationship. And what does it take to build or to have trust? It takes being honest and having integrity. Without those things, that relationship cannot thrive and it can't grow. And I want those relationships to grow and I want them to thrive. Leaders have good reputations. That goes with the integrity. There'll be people, I will tell you, I've had this many times, people that are going to try to tear you down, people that are jealous, or people that just don't like that you have something and they just don't understand what it took to get there, I guess. And I would say that my reputation is really important to me. It's so important to me that I will fight tooth and nail if somebody is saying something incorrect about me. And I tell people all the time, it's like if you have gossip or reputation, if you have somebody that is ripping up another person that's not in the room and gossiping or, harming that reputation, I tell people all the time, I don't go off of other people's experiences with that person. First of all, the person's not in the room to defend themselves. And number two is I base my decision on my relationship with that person. So if that person treats me with respect, says please and thank you, considers me in situations, then I'm going to do the same back. And until someone gives me reason to doubt them, I don't doubt them. You are listening to the Sue Fries Show. Sue Fries, spelled like fries, oneword.com. I felt this was important to go over this, and there's many more, because I think it's so important that we understand the importance. Me as a grandma, I'm teaching my grandkids about these things, even simple thing like please and thank you, which isn't so simple anymore. It just seems like it's been forgotten in a lot of cases. Leaders make others better. Oh, I love that one. I love that one. And my desire is to help people be better. My desire is for me to be better. And I start with me. Start with the person in the mirror. And if you start with that person and you really, really give it all you got to be the best you can be, then you can look in that mirror and go, yeah, I've done my best to be the best I can be. And I'm learning. I'm challenging myself. I'm taking responsibility when I mess up. And I'm moving forward. I've asked for forgiveness if I need to. I've talked to people that are not, it's not a fun conversation, but I talk to them. Why? Because it's unfair for me to have, something I'm thinking about that affects them and my relationship with them, which if I had an open conversation could mend it or put clarity on it to where we can move forward in a better. And I always want to do better. I want to be better than I was a minute ago. I want to be better than I was a day ago. How about you? Is that what you want? Leaders are quick to praise and encourage the smallest amount of improvement. Smallest amount of improvement. Today, Tyson, my son, he was in Oxnard for a safety meeting. And one of the things I asked, I said, if you were going to give the office the way it looks, the cleanliness of it, the organization of it, what number would you give it from 1 to 10? And he said, a 6. So I asked him, the next question was, what would they need to do to get it from a 6 to an 8? Not 6 to a 10 or a 9, but what can we do to go up 2 points? And he said, well, we need to clean the floor. We need to organize our paperwork. And he had a couple of more things. And I said, okay, so we're going to hold that office accountable, that everybody in that office is a team, and teamwork makes the dream work. And we're going to work together as a team. This is not one person's responsibility to do all of this. Everybody's in there, so everybody needs to work together. And that was today's meeting, along with other things, going out in the trucks and making sure they're labeled and everything is in the right place, and we're doing everything right. Leaders are genuinely interested in others. People do enjoy talking about themselves, and I will tell you, I told my kids this, that there was a long time where I felt really uncomfortable being in a party setting, a networking setting, to where I just felt uncomfortable to be in the room. And then I started thinking to myself, okay, Sue, you're a reporter. You're a reporter and you're going to do a story. Pick a person that you're going to report on and go talk to that person as if you were a reporter. You're not Sue Fries, no. You're a reporter and you have a job to do. And you want to learn about this person, because when you learn about this person, you're going to get to know them. And that person is going to feel known, understood, seen, heard, to where it's going to build a relationship. And that's exactly what has happened in many cases. When I feel uncomfortable, I kind of put on a different hat. And when I think about ministry and I think about mission, what is my goal? My goal is to love other people. Love thy neighbor as thyself. That's one of, what God tells us to do. Love him first and love thy neighbor as thyself. And if we do those two things, everything else pretty much works out. And I found that, I've tested that theory. I've tested it many times, and it's true. It's true. Now, are there some interesting people out there? Absolutely. There's interesting people out there, and all I can do is pray for those interesting people. Leaders are genuinely interested in others. Leaders look for and praise someone doing something right. I'm working on this. I totally am, because I think that, like I said before, I'm solution-minded, so I'm always looking for that opportunity to do better. But when you see somebody else doing something better, you need to praise it. You need to say, wow, that was really cool. Good job. And even if it's a cell or it's taking out the trash, with the little grandkids, anytime I see them sharing, anytime I see them being polite and mannerly with their siblings, anytime I see anything that I can recognize to point out, it's going to build that person to want to do more of that. Interesting, we can discipline or we can praise. I think we learn more and do more and accomplish more with praise. And I need work on this. I do. I so do. And it's not out of It's not deliberate, at least I don't think it's deliberate, but it is an issue. Leaders look for the praise. Leaders take others up with them. Don't walk alone. I tell my staff, my corporate people, don't walk alone. Always walk with somebody so that you can teach them along the way. Because the more people that learn what we're doing, the better off we're going to be. Because you can't rise to the next level until somebody else can take your position. So you need to train your replacement. Did you hear that? You need to train your replacement. So we have a ladder in our business. And the ladder is you start here, you get your applicators, it's certification license, and then you learn more, you have many hours under you, you have to get CEUs, continuing education points, and then you work your way up the ladder. And when there is an opportunity to be promoted, those that have done the most with what they've been given, they're the ones that are looked at for that next position. It has to do with attitude, it has to do with results, it has to do with those things. And that is like natural, isn't it? It's really natural and it's really fair. Leaders respond to their own failures before others have to reveal them. I would say in my case, yes, I know my failures. I know them, and I beat myself up more than anybody could ever beat me up. I beat me up a lot. How about you? Do you beat yourself up? Do you recognize, or do you point the finger? You know, they say for every finger you're pointing out, there's, many pointing back. And if you're on video with me, I'm on Facebook Live around noon on Tuesdays. I'm on YouTube Live Tuesday around noon, probably 12:10, I think, usually. You can see me on camera, and I always have gestures, and I usually might use my hands and stuff. But join me in there and share, and please share my show. Leaders are specific about what is expected. The only way you can really get the results you want is by being clear on your expectations, and that goes for any relationship you're in. We have to understand what it is we want, and then we have to verbalize, either in writing or by voice, those expectations. And that's the only way you're going to get what you want. Leaders hold others accountable. That's another one, very important. And a lot of times people just get quiet because they don't want to be misunderstood and they don't want to be not liked. But we have to hold people accountable. People don't like it, especially when they're not measuring up. Leaders do what is right rather than what is popular. I just got nominated for, what's the word? Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think of what it is and I can't think of it right now. But it's somebody that ruffles feathers. Disruptor. That's it. I just got nominated to be as a disruptor. And I thought, wow, that's not very mannerly. When you disrupt somebody talking, it's not a positive thing. But in this case it is, because it means that we just don't go with the flow. We're not a sheep. We stand up and we're bold, and we do what we feel is right in every case, no matter the consequence. And leaders are servants. A leader is a lion, not a sheep. Leaders are servants. That means you put others before yourself. It means that you serve other people. I just spent this last weekend painting our call center. And my friend Scott and I, we spent 17 hours, 3 days in a row, just painting, cleaning, organizing, moving furniture. And I have to tell you that it was difficult work. I mean, my back is hurting me so bad right now. It's crazy. And his is too. And we were so tired. But we got it done. And we have more to do. But at least, I don't know, it really just upped the feelings in the office. And they felt appreciated and valued by just having the office cleaner, nicer. And I feel really good about that. And that's being a servant. I served them. I could have hired someone to do it. But I needed to do it because I wanted to see exactly what I wanted, and I wanted it to be done a certain way. And so that's what we did. And I'm happy I did it. So we will be back with more of the Sue Fries Show right after this brief break. And thank you, E. Cola, and listen to this commercial.
When I was 2 years old, I had a life-threatening asthma attack.
And as a mom, I was worried. It was a big reason for pioneering our eco-friendly pest and termite treatments. With our dynamic selection of non-chemical and alternative treatments, we achieve effective results that fit the concerns for the health of your families, children, pets, and the environment.
From San Diego to San Luis Obispo, when you have a pest problem, call today.
E. Cola.
Powerful termite and pest control.
As gentle as a butterfly. Thank you so much, Ecola Termite and Pest Control, for sponsoring this show. I'm so thankful to be part of Ecola. And we've been in business since 1983. We have 7 offices. We cover from San Diego to San Luis Obispo, a little more than that. And we have wonderful employees working for us. We are hiring. We need more people. So if you would like to check it out, go to termitelady.com. There is a website there you can fill out, and then we can talk. We can talk. You have to have a clean driving record for sure. I need termite techs right now. That's what I need. And we have an office in San Diego, Moreno Valley, Menifee, Oxnard, Anaheim, Mission Hills, and Orchid. I think I got them all. Anyway, so if you're anywhere near any of those offices, any of those places, we would love to talk to you. And maybe this is a new career for you. And we'd love to talk to you about that. So this is part 2 of a part 1, part 2. And in part 1, I was talking about leadership and how, the attributes and qualities of somebody that is in leadership. And I also said that I was going to break off, but I didn't have time in the first part. So you could go back and listen to part 1, and I would hope you would do that. And I want to talk to you about confrontation, because one of the things in the leadership thing is confronting others, having those tough conversations, because we need to understand where people are coming from. And if we don't have, when we have frustrations like I'm having right now with one employee, I could just keep it quiet and just get frustrated, and it's going to come out some way. Or I can have a sit down and I can say, look, this is what I'm experiencing. This is what I'm feeling. And I want to know how you're feeling and what you're experiencing. And I want to know how we can move this needle, how we can get from being frustrated to understanding expectations. And I don't like doing things 3 times. I don't. Who does? Anyway, so I want to figure out a way to where we can get these things done quicker, more, do it right the first time kind of thing. And part of it, like I said before in part 1, is my fault, because I skim over some things. I think people can read my writing when they can't, and I can understand that. Sometimes I can't read it. Anyway, so I was talking about that in part 1, about leadership and the attributes. Leaders are specific about what is expected. Leaders hold others accountable. Leaders do what is right rather than what is popular. Leaders are servants. And those are things from part 1. So part 2, I wanted to talk about there are major ways people resist confrontation. Okay? And have you ever had a situation, and I know the answer already, but I need you to think about this for a second, where you know that you need to have a conversation, but you're concerned about the outcome, how it's going to end up. I mean, is it going to be positive? Or it could go 2 ways, right? I mean, when you confront somebody, it depends on how you confront. But also, you want to do due diligence, and you want to have the right prayer mind. You want to have the right tone and the right attitude of wanting to have a win-win. Your desire is to move forward together, not to point fingers, not to get someone on the defensive, but really wanting to solve the issue to where we can move together in a positive direction. The goal is, let's come together. So if that is the goal, and you have to confront somebody, you would be in a different mindset than if you were just frustrated or mad and you go and confront the person. It's going to be a totally different confrontation, isn't it? And confrontation, when I hear that word, has a lot of negative connotation to it. And we don't want that. In confrontation, we want to say, I'm IDing the problem. I have a possible solution, but I want to hear your solution so that we can come up with something in the middle, maybe, or not. I mean, at least have the conversation. So there are major ways to resist it. And the more aware of these you are, the better prepared you will be to deal with them. So are you ready? Shooting the messenger. I say that sometimes. I will put something out there and say, don't shoot the messenger, because it's really not my message. It's just that I'm the one delivering the message. So when a person attacks you for bringing up a problem, they are shooting the messenger. The trigger is not so much that they don't like the problem, but you are the problem simply for mentioning it. So now let's deflect, because we're not really dealing with the problem now. We're dealing with a relationship between 2 people one is the messenger, when really that messenger could be sent by 5 other people that are experiencing the same thing, but this person was willing to take that leap and have the conversation. 2, rationalization. How many people, when you bring up something, they rationalize? People may create reasons for their behavior that satisfy themselves, but are inaccurate and reduce their responsibility. They may not deny the problem exists. However, they will devise reasons that ultimately make no sense except to them. Have you ever had someone say, well, it's always been that way, or, oh, because I can never change because that's the way I've always been. Well, that's not a good answer. Can't teach a dog new tricks or something. Yes, you can. And it just depends on choices we make. Each one of us has the ability to make changes in their lives. Newsflash. Every one of us has a choice in every single circumstance on what they're going to do, what they're willing to do, and take action. Number 3, minimization. People who minimize will admit an issue but speak of it as less serious than it is. I have 3 people in my mind right now that are this way, that they minimize it. And to you, it could be huge. It could be a huge issue that brings up all kinds of other things within you, emotionally or spiritually or whatever, financially. But they minimize it as if it's not a big deal. Well, maybe it's not a big deal to them. And does that make it less of a big deal or minimize? No, it doesn't. Okay. So they often will not see how hurtful their behavior is to others because of them. It's not a big deal. How do you deal with that? Blame. When a person blames, they find an external source that in their mind caused the problem. They don't deny the problem. They just regard someone else as responsible. Do you have someone like that in your life where they blame somebody else for something? It's like, well, that person did this and this person did that, and not accepting responsibility for their part in it. I have some of those too in my life. Denial. Some people deny a problem even exists. This is serious resistance because when the person is being confronted, denies the problem, it is impossible to find a common meeting ground of terms and perceptions from which to solve the problem. Do you have any of those? Do you have a problem like that? Where a person, one of the areas in which I find this to be true is when I bring up unforgiveness. And me doing so much work in the unforgiveness, forgiving others as Christ forgave us. But it's not easy to forgive somebody that's trespassed against us. It's really not easy. But once we do it, there is such a level of power and empowerment and a release of weight on us that is amazing. But it's hard to explain that to somebody that hasn't gone through it. You can explain it to the best of your ability, but until they actually take action and just make a choice. Because sometimes you have to start with your head. You have to make a decision in your head, and then your heart follows. So, I did this. I had to make a choice to forgive somebody that really shouldn't have been ever forgiven for what they did. But I chose to forgive them, not for them, but for me. And when I did that, there was a release because I was in bondage. They didn't even know. They could care less. It wasn't hurting them at all. I thought I was hurting them somehow, and I don't know why. I mean, think about it. Common sense says they're not hurt by it. But we're hurting ourselves, and we're really depleting our energy in an area where it doesn't need to be depleted. And it causes us not to receive all that God has for us. But when you talk to somebody about this and they're so blocked, they're so protected in their heart that they can't see it. They don't even want to go there. They just don't even want to go. They don't want to feel the emotion. They just don't want to go there. And I understand that, believe me. I do. I understand it. But I also understand the other side of it, of the freedom of it. Once you get past it and you make that choice in your head to go forward, to go forward. It's crazy. When people disallow that they are responsible for a problem, but then see their problem in others, they're projecting. People who project are unable to tolerate a bad thing within them. However, once it exists, they find another person on which to place it. Boy, I know somebody like this too. Isn't that interesting? Another thing I've learned, and this is interesting, is that when I meet somebody and there's something about that person that irritates me, whether it's them words that they choose to use or a tone in their voice or, I don't know, anything, it annoys me. Before I do anything, before I allow that to penetrate in any way, I ask myself the question, look myself in the mirror, and I'm saying, do I have that? Do I do that? And I will say, and this is kind of embarrassing to say, but I'm going to say it, is 9 out of 10 times, the thing that annoys me in that other person is something that I do. One of them that I know right now is that I interrupt people. I interrupt people. Now, the reason I interrupt, no reason, there's no excuse. But the reason I interrupt is because my memory, it's like I have an idea or I have something in my head that's really, I think, really important. And somebody else is talking and I interrupt them because I'm trying to get it out before I lose it in my brain. I know that sounds weird, but it happens to me a lot, is that I just, it leaves me mid-sentence. Now, I'm on the radio, and I can go down a rabbit trail, and people are amazed because I can go on the rabbit trail, and I can pull it back at any given time and know exactly the trail or the trail I'm going on. But it's interesting, when I have this idea or this thought that comes into my mind, I feel like I have to right then get it out, because if I don't, I feel like I'm going to forget it. I have to quit saying that, because when you say it, you're giving power to it, and then it will happen. Anyway, so that's one for me. If people interrupt me, it annoys me so bad, but I knowing that I do it. And so now, when I have somebody else do it, or I'm doing it, I'm much more aware of me doing it. And I've asked those people closest to me that if I do that, please put your hand up in kind, in loving way. You just did it again, because I want people to feel heard. I want to really listen to what they're having to say without interrupting them. And what I have to say is not more important than what they're saying. And that's how they feel, is that what they're saying doesn't matter as much to me as what I want to say. And I don't ever, ever want anybody to feel that way. I want people to know that I'm there and I'm present and I want to hear what they have to say. So I'm fighting this little thing inside of me that I'm going to forget. Well, if I forgot, then maybe it wasn't that important after all. And that's what I'm telling myself now. If I forget it, it wasn't that important anyway. Interesting. You are listening to The Sue Fries Show. Sue Fries, spelled like fries, oneword.com. I've been on for over 14 years. You can go on to the Sue Fries site and find podcasts, radio shows. You can find it on TV, YouTube, TV, iHeart, a lot of different places, podcast, and on video where you can see, I can talk to you. Both of them are great. Anyway, I would like for you to share it. I would like to hear from you. You can go to the website and you can email me, and no one reads it but me. And if you need resources, if you need prayer, anything that you need, I'm here for you, and I want to be of help. And nobody reads it but me, so just know that you can be free and you can talk about it, and it's okay. Okay? Number 7, a multitasking resistor. A multitasking resistor. Okay, I don't know about this one, so I'm a little bit nervous because I multitask a lot. So, this might be calling my name. Let's see. People who resist confrontation sometimes stay away from owning a problem by using more than one of the above approaches. It can be very confusing, and sometimes that's their intent. If you have a resistant person in your life, the number one stance to adopt is this: stop being surprised that he or she does not welcome the truth. Don't be surprised. I'm going to talk more about that in my upcoming workshop. No, I'm not. Can you cut that out? Yeah, just cut that out. So those are the 7 areas in which people will not, they'll try to avoid confrontation. How many of you have waited for the just perfect time to confront an issue. And you've done your prayer time. You've done your goals of what you're trying to accomplish in this confrontation. But you're still holding off from having this tough conversation. And then you finally find the guts, the courage to actually do it. You found a moment in time where you both were available and you sat down and you were in the right frame of mind and you sat down with the best of intentions and you sat down and you delivered the message. And then the other person opens up and between the two of you have dialogue. You have a dialogue that brings new understanding to both parties, to where there's resolve or new solutions to how we can go from point A to point C and not have the friction that once was there. And you feel more connected to the person. And you after all of this, you hug, you shake, whatever you do, say thank you so much for your time, whatever it is. And you say to yourself, why on earth did I wait so long? Why did I wait so long? Man, we could have saved a lot of time, a lot of energy, if we could have just been forthright, upfront, honest with ourselves, honest with another person, had that tough conversation, got to the resolution that we now have, but we could have done it so much sooner. Why did we waste so much time fretting and worrying and being concerned about it? How many of you have done that? I know, me too. And let's learn from that. Let's learn from that and not wait so long to have that conversation. But make sure, beyond all else, pray about it. If you have to talk to one other person, that's a safe place to go, then talk about it with that safe person. Christian counsel, that's what they say is, seek godly counsel. And then have that conversation. And I just believe, and we should believe, that if our heart is in the right place and we're really desiring the right thing of ourselves, the relationship, and that other person, then how can we really go wrong? I can look at myself in the mirror and say that I did the right thing. How about you? And I think that's so good. I think it's so good. What do you think? Yes. So I'm going to read from Sarah Young. And I just want to tell you that this is part 2, so I just want to let you know that my daughter, Tiana, she has 3 grandbabies. And right now she is late on delivering. Her due date was a couple of days ago. And so now I'm just waiting. I've got my suitcase in the car. I've got my phone on. I'm ready for her at any moment to say, heading to the hospital. And she has asked for me to take care of the baby, which I've done the last 3 times too, to make sure that they are bathed, that they are sleeping, that their diapers are changed, and that they get to mommy to breastfeed. And I'm the transporter from place to place and the in-between person to help my daughter heal quicker. Because when I had my babies, I just remember that I natural birth both times, and the stitches and everything. It's, it's very painful to have to get up and down from the bed to get the baby, and pressure and just moving around instead of just being calm and letting things heal, and having somebody else go pick up the baby, bring the baby to you, and then take the baby back and diaper it, pat it to sleep, and then put it down. I say it's going to be a he. It is a he. Don't have his name yet. She's holding back on that. She always does. Anyway, so I am that person, and I'm so excited to be chosen to be that person. It's such an honor and a privilege to be able to be that grandma, that Gigi. They call me Gigi. We're both Gigis, and so now I have a friend who calls me Super, so I'm Super Gigi. And I kind of like the name, Super. So resolving conflict, this can work for you, whether you're just in a personal relationship, if you have issues with siblings or nieces and nephews, or if you have problems in marriage, or you have problems with ministry, people, like in different departments, or just anybody. In ministry, I ran 3 different teams: the worship team, the usher team. I didn't run the worship team, but I was on the worship team. I did run the usher team and a spiritual gifts team. This was a long time ago, before I bought Ecola in 2000. I was very, very involved in my church. And then I ended up buying Ecola in 2000, and I had to step down from everything that I loved doing, and I had to step down. And at that time, the Lord said to me, "Your ministry now is your employees." And I went, wow, so you don't have to minister in church. You minister wherever you are. You're a minister. And I have the I Ams on my website. I recommend highly, highly, highly. It says that you will be transformed by the renewing of your mind in Matthew. And when you go to the website, there is the I Ams, and they're free. Yes, I said it, Free. Free. Along with our inspections for E. coli termite. Those are free too, unless you're selling your home. Anyway, you can go there and you can press print, and it's 3 pages, and it's the I Ams, which is what God says you are. So many times in my life as a child, there were people that spoke into my life that would say things that were truly untrue. I'm a bull in a china closet. They would say, "You're a bull in a china closet. You're this, you're that," whatever. And I believed those things until I grew up. And decided to listen to what God says. And when I started reading the I Ams, I am an ambassador to Christ. I am forgiven. There are 3 pages of I Ams there. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Just go print them out and read them every morning and every night, and you will be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I highly recommend that we believe what God says, because God created us. Now, some of you are listening and you might not believe this, might not understand anything I'm saying right now, and that's okay, because I want to reach anybody and everybody that is interested in learning more about God, Jesus, the Bible, scriptures, anybody that wants to know more. If you're going through a very trying time, I remember times when I was so down that all I could picture was I was like in a dirt well, and I was so far down that I tried to scratch my way up, and every time I tried to get out of this deep hole, the dirt kept coming in on me, and I couldn't seem to get out of this hole I was in. And God says, look up, reach up, and He will be there for you. And He's there for you too. So if you don't have a personal relationship, He's there and He wants one with you. It's up to you. He gave you choice, freedom of choice to choose Him. And my prayer for you is that you will choose Him and be a blessing, have healthy boundaries, be a blessing to someone each and every day. And we will talk to you soon.